changing this now? Who's done this somewhere in your life, ladies and gentlemen, with your body, your relationship? How many of you have ever been in a relationship way too long where you knew it was wrong? You knew it was wrong for you, it was wrong for them, but you stayed. Why? Because the need for certainty, that basic human survival need of certainty. Well, I'd rather deal with the devil I know than the devil I don't know. Maybe being alone is even worse, right? But maybe one day, things change, because you used to say, oh, it'll get better in the future. Or I remember it used to be better in the past. Because see, when there's pain in the present moment, we can escape the pain by going backwards or forwards. Humans can do that. We can make up a future, whether it's true or not, or we can remember a good moment. But you may have had a day one day where you finally said, it's been painful in the past, it's painful now, it's painful, I am changing this now. That's usually a moment of a breakthrough, because you now just decide. You don't even know how necessarily, but you're going to change it, and you do. So here's what I want first. I want to give you 3 questions, I think, here. And what I want you to do is, by the way, what can create a breakthrough? It can be a conversation with somebody. It could be an insight. It could be reading a book. It could be attending a seminar. It could be a movie, right? It could be something that challenges you. It could be meeting somebody that inspires you because they're doing things differently. And you see, man, if they could do it, I could do that. Who's ever had an experience like this, right? Or maybe it was enough emotion in you that just did it. But here's what I want to ask you. I'm going to give you a couple questions. I want you to write them down for a couple moments, and then we're going to process them. So first, I want you to think of a breakthrough in your life that you struggled with for a long time. So what was the area where you struggled, but you did create a breakthrough? I want you to write down, what is that area, right? And my question for you is, you may have worked at it a lot and didn't change, but then it changed in a moment. I know you could say, well, I made all these changes, but there was a moment when you finally said, enough of this, and you did something. What made you change in that moment? Was it anger? Was it frustration? Was it inspiration? Was it seeing a new example of what's possible? What made that change in that moment? You could have changed all those other times, but you didn't. So let's take a look, because what we want to do here, guys, is recognize your own patterns. Because if we can find out how you made a breakthrough years ago in one area, we can use that same pattern to help you have a breakthrough in a new area. So the second question is, the moment of change, what triggered it? What made change a must? We all know when he says, I should do this and I should do that. I should spend time with my kids. I should lose weight. I should work out. I should make more calls. I should. You don't actually change, just what I call should all over yourself, right? But when it's a must, when you say this must happen now, and it truly is a must, you find the way, don't you? So what made it a must? What pushed you over the edge? And then the third question is, what made it possible so it lasted? Was it a new belief? Like you suddenly believe, no, this is what I'm made for. Or was it a new strategy? You learned a tool that made it possible? Or was it a new insight? Or was it a new emotion? Man, once you felt that, you're never going back. So we're just going to take 3 quick minutes. I want you to jot down, sit up in your chair so you got some energy in you. And I want you to write down, what was the area you had a breakthrough, you struggled with for an area, but you finally broke through. And then I want you to write down, what made you change in that moment? What triggered you to finally say enough of this and change? What made it a must? And then third, what made it possible? What made it last? Was it a new belief, a new emotion, a new strategy, a new insight? Jot it down real quick. We'll put some music on and then we'll process it. Stop smoking? Did you change a relationship? Shift something in your business, your body, or with your kids? And then what made you change in that moment? What triggered you to make it a must? No more. And then what made it possible? And if you want, you can type it in the chat. I'd love to see it if you want to share with me. Nice, Pearl Samuel. Nice. Kimberly. Sound that makes you feel strong or happy. Come on, any sound. Oh, yes. All right, let's take a couple quick samples because here's what we want to see. Let's see if we notice some patterns here, and if you don't, I'll point them out to you. But let's just take a couple examples. So let's bring somebody up on screen. I think staff, pick somebody there. Raise your hand if you'd like to share in the Zoom rooms. We can take shares from you. We can all see you and hear you. Let's bring up, yes, let's bring somebody up here real quick. Now's the time. There we go. Give her a hand. It's Christina. Christina, can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can. Where are you in the world, Christina?
I'm just outside of Denver, Colorado.
Give her a hand in Denver, Colorado, everybody. Tell me, what was your breakthrough? What did you struggle with, and what finally made you just deal with it, and then what made it possible?
Thanks so much. Thanks so much, Tony. So my daughter, and if I get emotional, it's because I'm so passionate about my story. My daughter passed away when she was 3 from pediatric cancer. And after she passed away for a couple of years, I was really struggling with that connection because after the year mark, the more time that went by, the further I felt like I was getting away from her. So I took your workshop, and I had been taking a lot of personal growth workshops, but I finally connected with her through your workshop. And I know it was because of the energy, because I was in my peak state, and I heard what you had to say. And let me tell you what you said. You said, make your worst day your best day. And then I can't remember what you said after that. And I had no idea what was going to happen if I did that, but I was determined to do that. And so I relived the day my daughter died over and over. And what I came to realize was it's my greatest achievement to date. It's the day I am most proud of in my life so far. I had the courage to help my daughter die peacefully at home when I didn't think I had anything left. And she brought me that courage, and my wonderful hospice team gave me a priceless gift that I could never get anywhere else, because they gave me that moment to really just be with her and feel like a sense of achievement. It's the greatest thing I've ever done. I've been in the military 20 years, and nothing compares to the moment that I was able to help her die peacefully at my house. And I realized that day is my greatest gift. And I'm so grateful for that day. And it's really led me to a life of gratitude, and it really transformed my world. And I didn't even know what you meant by that, but when I processed it, that's what came out. And so much happened since then that I can't even explain how thankful I am. People, when I would tell my story, people would often say to me, I can't imagine anything worse than losing a child. So that's my trigger, right? And I didn't have a good answer. I didn't have any answer. I made up things. I stumbled through the answers, but nothing good. And then I took your workshop, and I came up with what I was going to say to the next person that said that to me. And I was going to tell them that if my oldest daughter had never come into our lives for 3 years and 17 days, that would be worse. That would be worse than losing a child. I'll never give up. I'll never give up. I'm what would be worse is if I didn't live my life to the fullest after she died. So that's why I'm here. I'm living my life to the fullest with my daughters. I'm enjoying every moment. I'm creating purpose, helping other people go from grief to gratitude, and they're passing on the message. And I think that's where it becomes worth it. You said to us, Tony, you said, when people hold on to pain, people will hold on to pain till they find something they value more.
More than the
and
pain,
I
right?
value my family and raising my daughters right now more than I value a life of pain because of my daughter.
You have a beautiful soul.
And I'm so grateful.
Christina, you inspire us all. When did you was Unleash the Power of the Wind? How many years ago was this? When did this happen?
Actually, I did it during COVID, and I was activated with the military, and I wouldn't have been able to attend anyway. But I was so grateful that you offered a virtual Unleash the Power Within. I shared all of my revelations with my military unit, and I felt so good after that. And I've continued to be part of your community, and I have an endless amount of gratitude for you and what you've brought to my life. And I've created a new purpose, and I'm really grateful. This is my daughter. Her smile is priceless to me. And I'll always think about
you have other daughters? Did I hear you have other daughters alive today?
We did. We adopted a daughter after my daughter passed away. So I have a 5 and a 7-year-old.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And I live for every moment with her. And I never think about the time I didn't get. I only think about all of the smiles that I got in those 3 years and how she's changed my life forever.
I think there's probably no one watching that hasn't had tears, or at least a deep emotion listening to, because I think any of us imagine losing our child is beyond imagination. And your courage and your faith and your ability to take control of your mind. That experience you're talking about for me was when I was feeding people years later, and I was, I showed up the first time to feed a family, and I was wearing a t-shirt and jeans. I didn't want to know I was the giver, but I wanted to see the faces of the people. I wanted to give back. And I remember there were 4 children there, but this woman who didn't speak English, and it's an experience I'll never get as long as I live. But when I left, I was crying uncontrollably. And I was like, why am I crying? It's such a beautiful experience. Because I found out this woman, after the fact, husband had left her 3 days before Thanksgiving with no money and no food. So it was like God just perfectly put me in that situation. I thought, I'm crying grace tears because I realized my worst day, my father leaving to me was the worst day of my life, was the best day. Because if he hadn't, would I really be here? Would I really care as much? So it's like life is always happening for us. It doesn't look like it often. Sometimes it looks like the worst situation, but it's our responsibility to find the good in it, and not phony good, but real good. And this child that is now your baby girl now is getting all this love as well. I can't compliment you enough. I feel privileged to meet you. I want you to come to my Date with Destiny as my guest, just because I just want to give back to you. I know you'll pass it on to others. So stay on the line with my team, and we'll make sure you come there. Give her a beautiful hand, gorgeous hand, beautiful.
Thank you.
Well, after that one, any other problem seems like a small one, doesn't it? Let's go for 1 or 2 more real quick just to have variety and see if we notice the pattern. I'll see if you notice the pattern. Let's go to the next person here. Somebody pick somebody, raise your hand. There we go. Here's somebody. It's Jason. Give it up for Jason, everybody. Jason, where are you in the world?
I'm from Hungary, Europe.
You're in Hungary, Europe. Give it up for him in Hungary, everybody. That's beautiful. Well, tell us, what was the thing that you struggled with that you finally broke through? What made you do it that moment? What pushed you over the edge? And then what made it possible to really make it last?
So, Tony, on January 2011, I left my house because I had an 18-year-old. And at that time I had an 18-year-old son, and I had a lot of issues at home because of I was not so complete in myself. I was earning so little because I worked as a teacher in Hungary, and the salaries were so little, so I couldn't support my family. I was kicking myself. I was frustrated. I was not finding that joy, peace, happiness in myself. So I decided to leave and run away from the situation like a coward. And I moved into my school, and at that, leaving my family behind, my wife and my son behind. And
Wow.
that was a moment where I did not know what to do. I gave up everything. I was in a very hopeless situation, sitting on my bed. And that was the moment I seen one of this free session in January at that time. And
Wow.
those 5 days changed my life completely. I went from a hopeless situation. I found hope in your words. I always kept asking God, why is this happening to me? Why is this always happening to me? I'm unlucky. Nothing good is happening in my life. And when you said those words, that life is always happening for you and not to you.
Mm.
And that was the moment everything shifted. I shifted everything here, and my life started shifting completely.
Wow.
I started So at that moment in my life, I decided I did not know who was Tony Robbins, to be honest, at that moment. I was just scrolling through YouTube videos and I saw this live session. I just sat through. I was crying and I said, okay, this is something's going on here. Let me watch it. And I thank God that I did that, because at that moment of my life, everything changed. I
Wow.
started thinking more than what I was a victim, honestly speaking. I used to think like a victim. I used to act like a victim. But after your 5 day session, I decided, this has to stop. This has to change right now. And that shift changed my life completely. I went from a hopeless situation. I found hope. I went from a victim mentality to a victor mentality. I moved from being an employee to an employer. Today, I run
Wow.
6 companies.
Wow.
Life
Holy
with
cow.
you, with you,
Wow.
life will never be the same again. These were your words. And you won't believe, Tony, one more thing, that at that moment, like I told you, the salaries of teachers is peanuts, is not so
Yes.
much. And
Yes.
at that moment, all that I had, my entire saving in my bank account, I saw there was an option to join UPW virtual.
Yes.
And I said, if I join now, I won't have anything in my bank account. But I said, no matter what, I'm joining. I'm giving it my all. I don't know how I'm going to survive, what I'm going to eat tomorrow. I don't care. I'm joining it. And I registered for it. And those days changed my life completely. I came back home.
Hey, I want to hear. I want to hear.
I came back home. My partner opened her arms up. She's like, you know what? I see so much of change in you, because,
Wow. So you
like you
reunited
said,
with your
the
family.
energy. Yeah. So
That's
I came
awesome.
back home. I felt so bad that no, I was acting like a victim and I ran. But because of my
Yes.
18-year-old son at that time, I said, you know what? Could I do such a thing? Leave him behind. I'm his role model. No, and he's so attached to me. I need to be there for him. I came back. I said, no more victim mentality. I will think like a victor. I will act like a victor, and I will be victorious.
That's
So,
so awesome. That's awesome.
and and you know what, Tony?
Oh. So you're back unified with your family, and you said you have 6 companies.
Yes,
So you employ
not
employ
as
other
big as
people.
yours.
What's that?
So I was like, every single day of my life since then, my prayer has been one thing: God bless me with more so that I can help more people. I can
Oh, that's
impact
beautiful.
more.
Yeah, I wear these little hats a lot of times just because it's easy because I sweat so much and so forth, and they have a little shamrock on there. It's not about being lucky because it says on the side of my hats I wrote down there, it says, be a blessing. And underneath it says, and you'll be blessed. And that's what you're doing. Well, listen, brother, I'm so glad I got to hear this pattern. Listen to the pattern again here. So he hit rock bottom. He hit enough pain that he had to change, right? He felt that. That's what made it happen. And then these new beliefs, this new way of feeling, these new emotions entered his life and shifted it all. Listen, brother, I want to thank you, and I want to meet you in person. So I'll tell you what,
Yes.
you may or may not be able to come in person, but now all my events you can do virtually too. So I want you to come to my business mastery program. If you have those business programs, you stay on the line. We're going to give you a business mastery. I want to share with you so you can grow your businesses. Give him a beautiful hand, Jason. Give him a hand, ladies and gentlemen. That's incredible. Beautiful. I'm an emotional guy, sorry, but I cry when I hear this stuff. It just touches my heart so much because I know what it means, and it's gorgeous. So thank you for sharing. And let me give you a shortcut for time's sake here. I've spent my entire life where my focus is I've got to produce the breakthrough now. Somebody calls on the phone, my kid's suicidal. Somebody calls on the phone, the athlete's burning down, the president's going to be impeached. What do I do right now? In order to do that, I've basically tried to study how do you accelerate the process of breaking through. So you don't have to wait until it happens. So let me ask you a question. I think for most of you, the thing that triggered you was pain. You got to enough pain that your brain finally said, I've had enough with this relationship or my body being this way or my income. How many of you got so much pain you finally made a change right now? How many got that? Say aye. Some of you, that's usually about 90% of the population. We don't have to have pain to change, but people tend to get stuck otherwise in comfort. But about 10% of the people usually change because something happened that inspired them. And sometimes it's a combination of the two. But then the second question is what made it last? And that's always a change in one of three things or all three. And I want to give you the shortcut. So from now on, from this day forward, if you go, I'm tired of the way my business is, or I'm tired of the way my economics are, or I want to change how I'm being as a parent, or I want a better relationship, these are the three things you hone on. Now, I'm going to give you these three real fast, but I'm going to give you in reverse order of importance. Why? Because I want to give you in the order most people attack them, and you'll see why most people fail. If you change the order, it's like if you know somebody's phone number and you dial it in the wrong order, you don't reach them. If you got a vault and you know the right code, but you put the wrong order, it doesn't work. You don't get the goodies inside. If I said to you, the dog bit Johnny, or Johnny bit the dog, it's the same words, but a very different experience if you're Johnny, right? So when you change sequence of things, it changes the results. And so the number one thing when people want to change, let's say they're tired of where they are physically, their body, or their relationship, or their mindset, they're being sad or depressed or angry, whatever. The number one thing people usually try to answer is the question of how. So they look for a strategy. And that makes common sense, right? I need a better strategy to get this result. Now, I'm a strategist. I've spent my entire life, I don't believe in just rah-rah BS, because in the end, that's nice. You need energy, but you need a strategy to actually make it work. And the wrong strategy is it doesn't matter how enthusiastic you are. If your goal is to see a sunset, I'll give you a simple, silly metaphor. Your goal is to see a sunset, and you're totally positive you start running east looking for the sunset. I don't give a damn how positive you are. It's not going to work. And there are strategies in life or in business that could save you a decade. I've learned them. So I know how valuable strategy is, but you don't want to start with strategy, and there's a good reason. Because as important as strategy is, if the other two things aren't in place first, you'll try it. Have you ever said, people say, oh, I've already tried that, it didn't work. Oh, really? And what state of mind? How often? What did you change? What did you shift? How did you do it? People generalize. They give it a try. That'll never get the results that you want. For example, most of America, let's use America, we've got 195 countries in this room, and a lot of countries are modeling America, unfortunately, in this area. It's the highest amount of excess weight that's ever been seen in history. It's over 70% of Americans are overweight or obese. It's insane. Now, why is that? Is it because the goal or the strategy or the desire of being fit and healthy is just only the 1% know it? or it's so expensive to be able to be fit and healthy, or, it's so incredibly complex that no one can figure it out. Hell no. Or it's so scarce. The knowledge is so scarce. No. If I said to you right now, you told me I want to lose weight, or you want to get fit, how far would you have to go to get help? Most people, there's within a few miles of your home, there's a workout facility or YMCA or something. If not that, you can download onto your phone right now or your iPad 20 books. You can probably go online and get free courses. There's a million ways to do it. There's not one. There's so many ways, and it's available to everybody. Then why are most people overweight? Because it's not a strategy problem for most people. Get that. Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes you have the wrong strategy. You're running east looking for a sunset, and you're like, why isn't this working? I remember, I don't know how many years ago, it was probably 12, 15 years ago, the cover of Time magazine was the Atkins diet. Anybody remember the Atkins diet? And it said that, I forget the number, I think it said 12% or 15% of Americans are on this diet. It was like the largest number of any diet that had ever been done. And I thought to myself, what are these people doing? Because if you did that diet, you had to pee on a stick because you had so much acidosis to try and balance it. And your breath was so bad, no one could get near you. What made you think this was a sustainable solution, right? You lose weight, yes, because you got someone asked you, pee and get rid of all your weight and you lower your calories, you lose weight with anything. But it's not sustainable. You follow me? So strategy sometimes is the problem. Don't get me wrong. The right strategy, get where you want to go, but you don't want to start there. And I'll tell you why. When you've never accomplished something before, like you've always been overweight, or you've always been broke, or you've been through multiple relationships and it's not worked out, you start saying what he said a few minutes ago. Maybe there's something wrong with me. Everything happens bad to me. Nothing goes my way. And once you believe that, it's self-fulfilling. You're not going to change because the beliefs control everything. So the strategy, most people are trying to figure out how, and you can figure out the how, but you don't want to start with how. Write this down if you would. You don't want to fall in the trap of the tyranny of how. The tyranny of how. Because when people are going to get results, they do it because they feel certain and they give their all. When you've not done something before and you're uncertain, or you've lost weight and gained it back, or been through bad relationships, or had a business and it didn't work, or whatever, what happens is we're afraid of failure. And so we don't have the same certainty because we're afraid, and we've never done it successfully. We don't have any history. So the brain goes, okay, I'm going to go lose 20 pounds. I'm going to go make $100,000, $1 billion. I'm going to create this great relationship. And it goes in your brain, and then your brain goes, who are you kidding? How many of you have ever said a goal out loud to somebody, and then afterwards your brain went, who are you kidding? Come on, put it in the chat box if you've done that. Who's done this before, right? So it didn't get into your subconscious where you actually follow through. And so if you think about the greatest leaders in history, if you think of a Martin Luther King, when he gave I Have a Dream, his speech, he didn't know how to solve the problem. He just knew what was important and why. And he believed it with his soul. And by the way, he didn't know how, but not that many decades later, we had a President Obama, whether you liked him or not, he broke that color barrier 8 years as President of the United States and was voted mostly by white people. So the world changed, not as fast as everybody wanted to, and there's still plenty to be improved. But it does change, but it doesn't always change by having the how first. It's what and why is first. When John F. Kennedy got up and said, by the end of this decade, we're going to put a man on the moon and return him to the earth, the people at NASA went, there's no way, we don't have the tools. He said, I don't care, this is what we're going to do. That's what makes you a leader. You don't have to know how first, you can get the how. But here's what you do need. You need something more than strategy. You need the right story. When I say story, all a story is an accumulation of beliefs. If you are not succeeding, you had a story. So that last gentleman, if you listen, had a story. And the story that he had was, I'm not worth anything. Life doesn't go my way. He had several phrases like that. How many heard him when he sang it, right? And then his story changed. He could have changed any time, but his story changed to no, I must change now because the pain was too great. I have to find a way. And then he went to the event and he got a whole new set of beliefs, a whole new story he built. That no, the fact that life hasn't gone my way is a challenge of life for me to grow. It's why it happened. It's not that I'm being punished. It's I need to grow. If there's any area of your life, please hear me. If there's any area of your life where you still have pain, I want you to be able to be free of it, but I can only tell you this. You'll hang on to your pain until you find something you value more than your pain, as the First Lady described with her daughter. She decided that it wouldn't honor her daughter to live in pain, and decided to not be grateful for those 3 years would be insane. She decided, I'm going to continue to love the children in my life and still love my daughter. I'm not going to live in pain and give up my life. I value something more than my pain. Most people value their pain most of all. That's why they stay stuck with it. And they build a story around their pain. When someone doesn't lose weight, what's the number one reason they'll tell you? They'll give you a story. What do they say? I've tried what, guys? Put in the chat box. I've tried what? I've tried what? Come on, put it in the chat box. I tried, that's right, everything. Right? No, you haven't tried everything. Have you tried everything? Really? Yes, I've tried millions of ways. Millions? Well, I've tried thousands. Thousands? Well, I'm sure I've tried hundreds. Hundreds? Well, I did do these 2 stupid things that don't work over and over again. That was their idea of tried everything. If you tried everything, you'd be fit and healthy. How many agree with me on this? Make some noise if you agree, ladies and gentlemen. Right? So you have to write down, change your story, change your life. See, that's what happened to both those people if you listened. They both had an event that was so painful, and then they got sick of the pain. They hit a threshold, no more. And the only reason they changed is they got a new story, a new set of beliefs about their life. I'm not the victim anymore. Remember, he was the victim leaving his son. And all of a sudden, no, I'm the victor. I need to come back to my family. I need to build. I need to find the way through. The fact things haven't gone my way is evidence that I've got answers. I just haven't come up with them yet. Pain stays until... How many have done this? How many of you have had an event in your life that was so painful you'd never want to go through it again ever? You never want anybody you care about to go through it. But 5 or 10 years afterwards, you look back and go, I'd never want to go through it again. But I'm grateful to the God or the universe that it happened because it made me so much stronger or it made me care so much more. Who can relate to this that it made you more? You found out what it is. So that's why I don't believe, I know life is always happening for me, not to me, but I've got to find it. That's my job. That's not God's job. That's not the universe's job. That's mine. So if you come up with a different story, if you don't have a great relationship, what do people say? All the good ones are gone, or they're gay and I'm not, or I'm gay and they're not, or I'm non-binary and they're not, or come on. There's almost 8 billion people in this world. There's people out there that you could have the most beautiful relationship with, but your story is because you had so much pain, you don't want to go through it again, so you create a blockage, a story, a set of beliefs that limits you. If you shift that, everything shifts. But once you believe your story, you're stuck. I'll give you an example, a simple example, one you wouldn't even probably relate to. As a kid, maybe you're sitting at the table for dinner and your mom or dad says, and you're really hungry and just starting to eat, and they say, could you get me the salt? And you think to yourself, I'm hungry, I don't want to do this. So what do you say? I don't know where the salt is. I don't know where the salt is. You're not lying. You don't know the exact GPS location of the salt. And your mother and father, they're putting up with that crap from you. They go, you know where it is, go, get in the kitchen, get me the salt. And so you get up and you, I don't know where the salt is. I don't know where the salt is. In your head, I don't know where the salt is. I don't know. You open the cupboards, look around. I don't know. It's not here. And your parents yell back, it's on the second shelf. And you're going, I don't know what the salt is. I don't know what the salt is. You look, you go, it's not here. They walk right beside you. They reach right in front of your face and they go, what is this? Who's had one of these experiences? Make some noise if you've had one of these experiences. Your eyes saw the salt, but your brain would not allow you to perceive it because you kept telling yourself a story over and over again till you created in psychology what we call a scotoma, a blind spot. It's right there in front of you. Have you ever tried to help a friend and they have a problem, you got the answer, you show it to them and they're like, no, that won't work, I've tried everything. It's because of their story. Divorce your story of limitation and marry the truth that you have unlimited possibilities if you're committed and step up and are willing to do the difficult things. And make it, divorce the story. Don't do like some people's divorce where you go hang out with that person again. This is you divorce this limiting belief, right? I'll give you an example. Sit up in your chair and let's try something. This may not work because you're in a room you know really well, but I want you to try something. Look around the room right now, wherever you are, and notice everything that's brown, even things you may not normally notice that are brown. Look around you, everywhere, anything that's brown, notice it's brown. Look behind you, look around you. Okay, please close your eyes. And with your eyes closed, tell me everything you just saw that was red. Now, if you're seeing a lot more brown than red, say yes for those out there. Good, now open your eyes. Everyone open your eyes and look for red. Look for red. Anywhere you can find red, look for red, look for red, look for red, look for red. Give me a thumbs up in the chat box, or raise your hand, say yes if you found a lot more red now this second time. Come on, let me hear you out there, ladies and gentlemen. So here's my question. Why did you find more red? Because seek and ye shall find, it says in a very good book called The Good Book, right? So it's like whatever we look for, we're going to find. We'll even find stuff that's not there. I'll prove it to you. I'll prove it to you. Once you believe something, once you lock into something, how many of you saw beige colored things, called it brown just to feel successful? Come on, make some noise if you did it. How many saw burgundy, called it red just so you could feel more successful longer on your list, right? So if you start believing the story, there's something wrong with me, you're going to find things that are wrong with you even if they're not. If you think somebody's horrible, you're going to find horrible things in them, even if they're not. If you believe someone's your friend and they treat you badly, you're going to rationalize they're having a bad day, and you'll find how they're still your good friend, won't you? So our beliefs, our story, are the glue that either holds us in place of limitation or holds us in place so we can go for progress. Because you're not going to implement the story if you believe all the good ones are gone, or I've tried everything. You follow me? Or I'm just not made for this. So what I do in all my seminars, every seminar I do has a section where we shift your beliefs. We find the most limiting beliefs and we annihilate them. I say annihilate them so they're no longer in your body. They're not intellectual. How many of you have some beliefs that intellectually you know better, but emotionally they get you at times? Who can relate to this? Make some noise when you relate to this, right? So you got to break that pattern. And then finally, the order really needs to start with the other S, the first one, which is state. See, your mental emotional state controls everything. The reason we do a little clapping, a little moving, and I'm doing this right now and I've got little small screens, but when we do the seminar, I have 25,000 square feet. We've literally got 20-foot high LED walls. I can see everybody in the world, all of you huge. I can see your name, I see your kids, I see what's going on.